Welcome back, Blade fans. OG Blade Reviews with you once again. And we have an interesting knife, my first one from Station 9. I want to thank Bob DeMarco for bringing this company to my attention. And these are guys that are serious about knife defense. Check that out. Yes, interesting slogan, become harder to kill. Yeah, well, this should do it. And this is amongst some newer designs from the company, Station 9. They are guys that, there's a whole background out there. I don't think I'm going to give it to you because it's going to take up time, and I'm not as well versed in the background of the company, except they do make some interesting knives that harken back to some World War II designs. I'm going to make sure you got a link to both this knife as well as their general website where they've got all their products. A number of the older models are out of stock. These are made either in Taiwan or mainly in China. They are of their own designs. The steels aren't particularly, like no M390, no Magna Cut, that kind of stuff. But this one's VG10, a good serviceable steel that's been used by Spyderco and Benchmade and a bunch of other companies. So it's a solid stainless steel. Some of them are not stainless. This particular model is the number 12 Undercover. And I'll tell you, it checks all the boxes for me. Let's check it out. Speaking of checking the boxes, very decent Kydex sheath. It's well formed. It begins dragging just a little bit there, so it's not like a break free and then you're out. It's sort of like some friction and then it clicks in. So you can hear it click right there. You can push it off with the thumb very easily. There's just a little bit of drag, and maybe that's not bad because that's kind of a safety thing. And let's see if I can back out here. Can I? Interesting. I guess I'm zoomed all the way out. Don't mind the bandage. Yeah, there's a nice logo there, Wilcom. It kind of keeps some tape under the thumb that holds me in place for the time being. Anyway, talking about the knife, got lots of grommets on the sheath. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. So it does come with no mounting hardware, but the way I'm looking at these things these days is I put the mounting hardware of my choice on there, whether it's an Ulti-Clip, a DCC, what have you. Those are the two top choices for me. If you need a big old honking, tech lock on there, you can do that as well. Put the sheath aside for the time being. I'll put it over there. And we're going to do lots of compares today. Here's the deal with this knife. It is skeletonized under the handle. We have almost what appeared to be lashing screws similar to what Pikal uses. I like the fact, there's a lot of thought that has gone into this design. You've got hex Allen on one side, and you've got Torx on the other side. I took the handles off. It is skeletonized underneath. I'm going to see if I can find you the photo I took, a little easier than trying to integrate it with the video. So I'm going to show you that photo in a moment. So here is the photo of the handle of the knife without the scales. So lots of nice lightening there. You could possibly even use it in the skeletonized form, but I find it's just a little too thin for me, although it's not a thin blade stock. So that's a neat thing. It is fairly thin here, which means it's going to carry well up against your body, whether it's inside the pants, inside the pocket, or what have you. But because it is so tall and sculpted in here, it fits the hand perfectly. Because what I have a difficult time with sometimes is a thin handle that also is not very tall. Then I'm sort of, wrapping my fingers around to try to get a good hold. With this flatness, I instantly feel where the edge is, and that's what works for me. It may not work for you. So in what we call the sock position, which is point up, edge out, this blade is designed to slash. It is also still designed to thrust. We've got a nice sweeping, trailing point there, almost Persian in style, and yet initially it drops before it does that little hook up. And as you can see, it is serrated very much in the same fashion as the Spyderco serrations, near as I can tell. If you hold it in point down, edge in, you have that double edge on the top that is serrated and will rip and will clamp. And it is spiny and spiky and aggressive. Right here, out near the tip for strength, it is not serrated all the way out, which is the smart thing to do because that reinforces the tip, even though we've got a pretty thick stock on the blade. Now, I did say it was skeletonized. It's slightly handle heavy, however, even with that skeletonization, it's back just a little. I would prefer that the blade have a little more weight and that it balances here, but that's not a big deal. I mean, when you put it in your hand, it doesn't go anywhere. You just feel the weight in your hand. And the jimping, amazing. It's got that front side of the guard style jimping like you see on some of the Benchmade SOCOM Elites. No, the SOCOM Bravo, that's the one, where you have jimping back here and jimping up here. Well, my thumb fits perfectly there. Everybody's hand is going to be a different size, but this fits me perfectly because I like to lay the thumb out just a little bit further on the blade rather than be cramped up here, okay? So for tactical or EDC use, this is great. Well, let's get some measurements before I end up gushing all over the knife. By the way, it's an $80 knife, and they will tack on $10 shipping, handling, what have you. That is priority USPS mail. As an aside about this one, it took 2 weeks to get here over the Christmas and New Year holidays. And I had my local post office send an email out to the Billings, Montana post office where this was held up. And sure enough, a day and a half later, I got the knife. So they put hands on it, found it. These do come in a padded bag with the box inside. So it is not a box in a box. And I noticed that the code for the scan code was folded over. So that might have been why it didn't automatically go through. 8 3/4 inches overall with right to the handle. We're going to call it 4 1/8, but cutting edge under 4 inches. In my state, that makes a difference. Under 4 sharpened inches. However, it's a double-edged knife, so that could throw off your legal prospects if that's something that is real important to you. And, you know, what I found is if I don't brandish it, don't show it off, and I need to use it, that's secondary to my survival use of the knife. But that's me. I'm not giving you advice. Only 0.47, as I was saying, a thin handle, very carryable. Blade stock, fairly thick, 0.15. I think that's going to come in near 4 millimeters. 3.9 millimeters. And grabbing my scale, I'm going to give you the weight both with and without the sheath. Sheaths are never that heavy if they're Kydex. In ounces, 6.15. Before you say that's heavy, it's a fixed blade knife, guys. It's not a little folder. All right. So I did say I was going to do it with the sheath, so let's set it up for that. Put the old sheath on. Locks in nicely. 7.6 ounces with the sheath. Not bad. Really not bad. I mean, it's a bigger knife. This is not a, tiny hideaway kind of a knife. It's what I would call a medium-sized knife. And having said that, let's do a little bit of compare, shall we? There we go. Got the zoom working again. So there we have the Station 9. And the Station 9 is named after a British special ops group that was designing weapons, I believe, during World War II. Possibly World War I. I'm not sure. Again, that's all information you can get from Station 9 themselves. All right. First knife that came to mind when I saw this, and it is actually quite different, is the FMF, Frogman Field Knife from Pikal Knives. One of my all-time favorite Pikals, because I do like a larger fixed blade, even though they're a little more difficult to carry. So it's a Bowie clip style of blade, not a Bowie knife, but a Bowie clip style knife with the bullet grip that Pikal is well known for, and their nickel boron finish. This is just sort of, I don't know what you call it, kind of a battle-worn, stonewash kind of a finish. I don't believe they're really saying what the finish is on that, but when I send you the link in the description, you'll get to check out all the specs that they give it. Bigger knife. Handle, however, is about the same, with the addition of a slight persuader or glass breaker on the end. But the blade itself is a good 2 inches longer, I would say, on the Pikal. Almost 6. I think it's like a 5.5 maybe. I mean, depending upon where you go, it's like 5 3/4 blade if you measure to the top, but the scale slants, so we got 5 1/4 cutting edge, and about 5.5 in the middle. So that is the FMF from Pikal Knives. Nobody makes better sheaths, of course, than Pikal Knives. Talk about snap in, lock in, loose until it isn't. And with this particular one, we got a tensioner. You can completely lock it in if you're jumping, rock climbing, what have you, out in the field, tactical maneuvers, or you can loosen it up a little bit. So if we were to loosen this and slide it up to the top and tighten it, crank it down, this ain't coming out. But anywhere in between, complete loose or in the middle, anywhere in between, you can make it the way you want it. Great push off on theirs. I mean, you're not going to find a better sheath than Pikal, period, end of story. Let's leave that one out for compare, because I'm going to line up a few more here as well. So here's a knife that the blade contour sort of reminded me of. This is the chopper from Bastinelli Knives. And yeah, I mean, we got, did he copy Bastinelli? I get a lot of that lately. This is a clone. This is a copy. This is a ripoff. Look out there. Here's what I do. I can take a picture of this knife. I can run it through Google image search. It will show me every knife that looks like this knife. Give it a try. And you're going to find, you may be surprised, some knives are like, some of these designs go back decades, maybe a century, like a Wharncliffe knife and so forth. Anyway, off my rant. Just don't be too quick to say that one thing is a copy of another, because there's a lot of independent invention out there, and there is a lot of there are a lot of themes to knives, shall we say. I'll put that big boy up there. Another Pikal is the venerable Agent 001, designed in collaboration with the knife junkie Bob DeMarco and Tim Kell of Pikal Knives. This became the prototype for, we're going to have like 7, 8, 9 different Agent Series knives. There's already number 7 that just came out, the 007, designed by Tomas Alas, and that is a really mean tanto. This one, I brought it out because it is also dual purpose. You also have an edge on the top. It can be bought without the top edge, and maybe you can sharpen it later if you want to. But this recently got a review by an Italian combatant tactical special ops person, and he was slicing up and stabbing this targets and dummies, and he's got some great proficiency with the blade, and he loves this knife, and it withstood all the torture testing that he put it up to as well. Notice, however, it is the smallest knife on the table, and if we put these two aside, this is what I was talking about. I'm a bit more comfortable. Now, this carries much better, and it is thick enough to where it is definitely solid in the hand. I'm not saying it isn't, but my personal preference is for a little taller handle. I just feel that it feels bigger to me without being fatter in the handle. But noticeable difference in both height and length between these two knives. Here's your lightweight everyday carry option. This is going to be one that's going to be, you have to give it a little more thought as to how you carry it. Inside the pants, inside the pocket, scout carry, what have you. It's your option, whatever works for you, where you can access the knife quickly. Now, I realize we're getting into custom and semi-custom territory here. This is, I would consider semi-custom because it is a CNC knife that is hand-built pretty much after that. The parts are all, you might say, custom machined at Pikal Knives and assembled in his shop. And he's making great progress in expanding his production so he can get knives out to you guys. Anyway, along the lines of custom, not to compare the price point, $80 versus about $200, $250, or maybe $300. I got this a while ago. This is the Smilodon, one version of the Smilodon from Pinkerton Custom Knives, Dirk Pinkerton. But I brought it out because we have, again, oh, did he copy? I don't know. Who copied who? Chicken or egg? We've got that upsweep there. We've got a inner cutting edge, very similar overall upsweep and profile of the blade, way different handle. And this is just enough handle to hold on to. And you're not going to have anybody prying that out of your hand. And there is your edge in for Pikal. There is your edge out, but don't lay your thumb on that. You've got to keep your thumb, mind your thumb on this one. But once you learn to use it, it is a beautiful, beautiful knife. And last but not least, from MF Blade Works, this is a Fieldworks design. Look at that. That is the Vandal. I'm trying to think of Greg's last name. Anyway, we'll call him Fieldworks, but you know who I'm talking about on Instagram. Little different profile, much more of a cant down, right, on that upper edge. So, you know, we're going to get the same thing here, but just showing you. The reason I like this knife, it is perfectly positioned for Pikal, because you can actually jab with it this way. A lot of knives that hook down too far, they're not as effective for straightforward jabbing as well as, you know, clawing type movements. And you could hold this one this way also and cut with it, or you could simply keep it in the Pikal grip and do your outward cuts. So that is the Vandal. And again, we're talking, you know, at least like $250 to $300 in the custom production range, similar to Pikal, I would say. Again, this is CNC'd, and I think it was outsourced from MF Blade Works to one of the better known CNC, maybe Turner or one of those guys. I'm not sure. Put that away, and that kind of leaves us with just this knife. That is the highlight of today's video. The number 12 Undercover by Station 9. Definitely a company you want to check out. They are, I would say, budget priced for what you're getting. I think the highest in the range is like 100.5 for a big old, looks like a chef's knife that was a modified knife that they used during the French Resistance during World War II. They've got lots of very unique models. They're all usable. They're all very tactical and defensive oriented. But check this one out for 80 bucks. Hope they don't sell out, because from my Instagram that I ran just the other day, they're becoming popular. Nice to be an influencer in some regards. So grab one quick the day this video drops if you're interested. Great price, great bargain. VG10, modest stainless steel, but a good, usable, serviceable stainless steel. Holds the edge well, very easy to sharpen. And I don't think you'll be needing to sharpen those serrations anytime soon if you do get one. Be well. Take care. Subscribe by clicking my logo right there, right now. Take care. Stay safe.